Welcome to the RV Interviews. We're here today with author Sharon Hamilton. Hi, Sharon. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
So we're going to keep these interviews sort of fun and lighthearted. Readers can find out about our books, but not always so much about the authors.
Oh, I like that.
So we've got some slightly more personal questions. Nothing too personal. So how important is music to you when you write?
Well, I often will find a song that's working with the scene or the book or the feel of the book, and I'll play the same thing over and over again.
Until you finish the book?
Until I finish for the day,
okay.
you know. And sometimes I'll play that song most days when I'm writing the book. Since I write Navy SEALs, I know a lot of the SEALs train to 2 Steps from Hell. It's a, group that has titles like One Against a Million and We Die with
Navy
Honor.
SEALs.
And yes, so it's all this really heavy, beautiful music, and it helps me get into the character. Yes,
yeah, that's nice. I like that. So then, do you compile them all into a playlist later?
People have asked me to do that, and I need to do that.
Or at least list it so that readers would know, like, this is the playlist that goes.
Yes.
That would be cool. They'd like that.
And I have a couple scenes where they are specific to a particular song, and every time I hear that song, I remember that scene.
Brings it back.
And it's fun to talk about it, too, with readers, because they remember, then they go look it up. They want to go buy that.
And it helps them to reconnect with it, too, then. That's fantastic. I like that. Yeah. I have a playlist, but mine doesn't really have anything to do with what I'm writing. It's just loud, really terrible music that I like. Like, I like Korn and Marilyn Manson, and that's what I write to.
Yeah.
Light candles, and I play really loud music.
I like candles, too.
And sometimes I bebop. Do you bebop as you're writing?
I do. Sometimes I scare the dogs.
Right,
They're like, oh, what's she doing now?
Yeah, people will knock on the door and you almost fall out of your seat because you're not used to. That's usually at the lake. My desk is right by the door.
Oh, that's great. I have a standing desk and a sitting desk. And
depending
on how I feel, I'll be on the stool, and sometimes I'm off the stool and I'm writing,
dancing.
and then I'm dancing and having fun with it. It depends on what we're at. And if I'm crying, it's a really sad scene.
Yeah, I know. We do that, don't we?
Playing that music because it elicits all that emotions.
Right.
And I've heard people say if the writer is crying when she's writing, then the reader's going to cry, and that's usually a good thing.
Right, and on the flip side, if we're laughing, we can laugh a little bit too. It doesn't always have to be tears.
No, it's not always tears. It's just a little bit, just enough to.
Yeah, I hate when my books make me cry, but it's fun when you're sitting there snickering, and you hope everybody else gets the joke when they read it.
Oh, I was one time in a Starbucks, and this really nice older gentleman came up to me, and I had just done this breakup scene, and it was very sad. It was a perfect couple, and I was just and I was and he came up to me and he put his arm on my shoulder. He says, "Are you all right, honey?" And I said, "No, it's okay. I'm a writer."
Yeah, I'm allowed to do this. Yeah. Say, I'm okay, but these people are a mess.
These people are a mess, but I'm going to fix it. Honest,
yeah, they'll be okay by the end.
They'll be okay by the end.
That's funny. So one thing I'm asking everyone, because my book is "Don't Tempt Me," what tempts you? What are some of your guilty pleasures?
Oh my gosh. Well, one of the things I did for one of my books is I had a, quote, date with Daniel, because I was not feeling the character, the hero. And so what I did was I made a little story up that I had this date with him, and what would we do? And he was Brazilian, a Brazilian character, so we went dancing, salsa dancing.
So you did all the stuff you wanted to do.
I did all the things I wanted to do.
What about what Daniel wanted to do, Sharon?
Oh, we got to do that too.
Oh, okay. That's funny.
And he thanked me for it afterwards. So but it's funny because we live in so many different worlds, don't we, Lori?
Right, we do.
We live the life of our characters, and then we have our real life, which isn't anything like any of the characters.
No.
People always say, "Oh, you must have a really exciting, life where you do all these things," and it's not exactly like what it is in my books.
Right.
So we have all these universes going on all at once, and it's kind of a guilty pleasure, I guess, because at my age, I get to be 20 years old again.
Right. Well, then what is it they say about write what you know? And I think it's write what you can imagine.
Exactly.
Because I don't know all that much.
And the
to do all the writing I do.
beauty of not being a writer in my 20s and 30s, and this is not to take anything away from great writers in their 20s and 30s, is I've lived through that, and the 30s and 40s and beyond.
Right, yeah.
So it just helps give me maybe some depth that I wouldn't have had in my earlier years.
So talking about that with your depth, what writing goals have you yet to achieve?
Well, I would like to hit the New York Times with a single issue book, you know, not with an anthology or my own anthology. Oh, okay. And that's my goal. I have not done yet. So it's been
like a multiple pack that you've hit with
either my own group, you know, my own box set of my own work, or with other people. I've done that with USA Today, and I'd like to do that with New York Times. So that's my goal.
I bet you're on your way.
I am. Yeah. I like to release 3 or 4 books a year, including several novellas.
It's a busy schedule.
I'd also like to see one of my books made into a movie. I know everybody has that dream, but
I don't know, you know, because most often they butcher the book, and so other than the financial rewards involved, I'm not really sure how awesome that would be.
Yeah, I don't know if they are really financially that good. It would just be cool if they just take one of my books and make it into a movie. And people say that to me all the time. Yeah. Oh, this should be a movie. But I think the nice thing about it is that I can be at any age, I can travel anywhere and write anywhere. And that's the beauty of being a writer.
Right.
Unlike before.
We're very portable.
Right. I was a realtor before and had, you know, a specific schedule and a staff and people you had to show up for. And this is so exciting because we get to travel and go places and write.
Okay, so the last question I have for you is, do you ever foresee a time when you won't be writing? Or are you pretty much going to take it right up until you're old and gray?
Yeah, I think, you know, there was a friend of mine that told me she had a woman friend that died in her 80s, I guess, and she died the day after she turned in her last manuscript.
Oh, well, thank goodness she got it turned in. Oh, my gosh.
And, you know, they buried her apparently in a casket with a whole bunch of sexy postcards, and because she'd always wanted to be around hunky men, so now she'll be with them forever. I thought that was such a great story. Yeah. I thought, that's me, you know. Right. And of course, maybe I'll be successful enough so that my kids and grandkids won't mind that my great-grandchildren will read my work.
Oh, that would be really cool.
Because right now they really care.
Yeah. You know, one of my fears Alan and I were out somewhere, and I started to step off a curb, and he pulled me back. Yeah. And I said I wasn't going out, and he said, all I thought was, how am I going to finish that book for you? And I'm like, you're never finishing one of my books, so don't even go there. Yeah, well, that would be the terrible part if you died halfway through a book and somebody else went and finished your book for you. Wouldn't that be awful?
It would. And, you know, there is something that happened as a writer to me that I didn't anticipate, and that is, I don't want to let my fans down. And not finishing a book would be letting all these people down that I didn't even know before. Right. You know, I didn't even know I'd feel that way.
And some of them you don't even know personally. You just know them through social media, but you know that they're important to what you do.
Yes, and I'm an important part. I'm not the only writer they read,
but you're important
of course,
to them. Yeah.
But I'm important to them. They want to know these characters are real. Right. You know, they're calling me, when is so-and-so going to do... You know,
excellent point. I like that.
Yeah.
And I like authors who put their readers first.
I do, and I think authors love hearing from readers. Most authors do. I know I do.
I certainly do.
It's just it's the highlight of your day. Oh, you know, and I'm sure you get the stories.
It's
too.
a nice boost.
It really is. It was something I didn't anticipate. I thought writing was just writing and feeling good about the words and getting these stories out and everything, but all this meeting extra people, meeting other authors, having all those connections has been just delightful.
Well, sometimes, and I'm sure you probably have too, you hear from those readers where your book touched an important part of their life. You know, they had a father who was dealing with bad Alzheimer's, or their mother
PTSD,
was getting chemo, and they're reading one of your books for their downtime, for relaxation. It means the world. Yeah. It's really a wonderful feeling.
We have one of these little memes that we use, and I got it on the door of the cruise ship, and it's a couple kissing, you know, and the tagline underneath is, "Oh boy, you've been reading Sharon Hamilton's books again."
Oh, cute.
So usually,
I like that.
Usually when the husbands come and buy a book, it's because they're going to read it to their wife, which I think is the greatest compliment you could be given.
Yeah.
So I like to think that I've helped other people in their marriage, in their fantasy life, whatever it is.
I don't want to help anyone's fantasy life, but I'm glad when they can use my
Not
books
me
as
personally.
relaxation, as a getaway.
Yeah.
Well, Sharon, thank you so much for
You're
being here today.
welcome.
This has
Thank
been
you.
really, really fun.
I had a great time.
It was a great interview. You did fantastic. I loved it.
Well, thank you.
Lots of awesome insight.
Well, you run a really great convention
Run a
here.
tight ship, don't we?
It's awesome. No, it's awesome. I'm hooked.
All right, thank you.